Okay.
All right, so we'll get started. Our first item on the agenda is the review of contracts for approval. We'll go through these, and then if any board members have questions, most of these, well, I shouldn't say that. Let's start with A is Penn Foundation Student Assistant Program for 2014-2015. I believe this is just a renewal. We do this every year, so, okay. The next one, and that's been reviewed by the solicitor, so. The next one is Children's Developmental Program, and once that's services for a student identified as 2015-03 for the coming year at $608 per month. Okay, one. New Hope Academy, once again, that's educational services for a student 2015-04 for $34,900. That one says it's under review by solicitors, so I don't know if we'll have that back reviewed by the board meeting. If there's any questions on those two, you can contact Dr. Phillips. Okay, item D is for a contract with David C. Probin, high school drumline instructor for 2014-15 marching band for the season for $1,000. Does anybody have any questions about that one?
No sense.
I believe. So this is for the season, right? And it says it's a temporary position. Is this being paid by the district? I guess that was my question.
How is it different from an EDR?
Was that enough for the children?
I know, I sort of have the same question, I don't know. Because we actually have two of these. We have a percussion instructor also, right?
Yeah, and
Very and weight.
what's the difference between a drumline instructor and a percussion instructor?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we have any band, we have anybody associated with the band here. And I think we're gonna have to get answers. I mean, how to, I had sort of the same questions as to why, you know, we do have EDR positions, right, for band. And so this would be in addition to those positions.
And is it one that had occurred previously? Is this a new one?
We've had these in the past.
They've had them in the past. I know they, you know, they pay for people to help them with their actual program that they do. Sure.
Maybe they're the ones that the referencing, the referencing they want to replace. Don't they think, haven't they said there's positions that...
Can you turn your mic on, please?
What I was saying was, the teachers have said that they would like us to maybe fill positions with their folks. I don't know who this guy is, but maybe that's maybe there is no difference. Maybe it's just the way that it's been. So we're getting off into a different committee here, but
Or that they want it to be part of the EDR?
I think, right? It's one of the things they said, but that's a different committee. But I don't know why it would be any different.
Okay, I think there were some questions posed that I think we need answered on these as to
How is this different from an EDR?
So
Yeah, I think that's the basic question, because my concern would be what if, like a sports team wants a trainer,
Exactly.
which is the ambition of cost. Who decides how to pay that? I don't know who's making these decisions. Okay. So Kathy, you'll follow up on this. Contract F is for vision tests, once again. Oh, that's, okay, so that's a support program in general for students. I think it was up to 25 students, if I remember correctly. So I assume that's a renewal, we've used them before?
Yes,
Okay.
I guess it's just the students.
Yes. Any questions on that one? Did you have a question?
I don't know, I was just looking through, is that a Pennridge program?
It looks like it's sort of after school and on Saturdays, the way I read it, so I'm assuming it would be.
After-school program. It's an after-school program.
So is it here?
Does not say if it's here or not. Oh, high school.
Okay, yeah. Because then it says,
Why'd you ask me
students
if
must
they could
participate in
get
Saturday
the
community service
microphone?
tutoring each week.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Yeah, if you could just find out.
Yeah, it doesn't look as that. Okay.
Well, I'm just wondering too, how long did the students stay in? Are they just referred for a certain period, and then is it 25 students at a time, or is it 25 total, and they might just go for a month? Or it could be any 25 students at one time, and they can rotate?
And then the last one is the Council of Southeastern Pennsylvania. Once again, this is a student assistance program related to the use of drugs, alcohol, or dangerous controlled substances. So,
Who's that?
it's 1.5 day per week at the high school. There's 3 middle school teams, goes for the entire year. And it's $10,400. Any questions on that? All right, that is all the contracts as of today. So we have those questions on the D and E and F, so once we get those answered, we will, and assuming that these are reviewed and approved by the solicitor, we'll vote on them on the 25th. The next item on the agenda is to review student activity account requests, and all the requests, there's 10 of them, are for renewals for the upcoming school year. So we have the high school junior executive council, the high school senior executive council, the high school class of 2017, the high school general purpose, the high school student council, the high school jazz band, the high school FCCLA, the high school vocal account, and then North Middle School drama and North Middle School general purpose. questions on any of those?
Where's 15 and 16?
Okay, so they will all be on the agenda. Item 3 is something we get every year from our neighbors at Souderton Area School District. It's the request to exonerate the real estate taxes on the parcel of land that's in our district over there. Does anyone want to discuss this or have any feelings either way on this one?
Do we ever exonerate them? No.
No,
Not since I,
I do not believe we have.
No, we
Then
have-
don't.
do we have any reason we should exonerate them?
Not from what I read in this. I think it was, other than it's an undue operating cost on their school district. Of course, if we lose the revenue,
That's on our.
it's undue on us, so they are supposed to, it says it's under agreement of sale, so hopefully this will be the last year. Does anyone have any feelings to do this?
What's the dollar amount?
It's $20,096.70.
Why don't you give that away?
So, that being the case, if there's 5 of us here, everybody's,
I don't know.
okay, I say no, so, do we have to vote on that?
No,
or-
you can just not move it to the agenda
Okay.
for action.
All right. Okay, moving on. Item 4 is a repository sale. Do you want to speak to that one, Kathy?
Yes, this is a property that was not sold at a tax lien sale. This is property that has a value of approximately $10,000. It has no frontage on Hilltown Ridge where it's located, and the bidder is bidding $100 for this property. And the last time, if you'll recall, we did have a discussion regarding, we were going to set a limit, a certain percentage of the value of the property, because again, this really needs to be sent back to the board on August 25th. So while you can't vote tonight, if we do nothing and it sells for $100, again, I would ask the board to consider coming up with some percentage of the value of the property that, in your absence, I could act on your behalf, and then you could affirm those decisions, that decision at a future board meeting, which we do in some other cases. In this case, I did contact Central Bucks, which Dr. Yarnell had asked me to do, and Central Bucks has not seen one of these. So we, this must be the lucky one, to have gotten 3 or 4 of these within the last year.
Gosh, I wonder if
If we wait to vote on the 25th, it will be too late because it needs to be returned.
That's correct.
The last one I thought was around $100 too.
Yes, it was. And we
Didn't
did, we did not affirm that one either.
Okay.
We were the last ones holding out that one.
I don't know, I can't, I would know, because we get the notices all at the same time.
Size of the property?
2.379 acres.
Hey, did you get an appraised value for that piece of property?
You can't ask questions, okay? You have to wait.
It's a little common sense. You're gonna vote on it, then I'm gonna talk about it.
Why would someone appraise it for us? For us to be buying it?
I can't hear you. Can you turn your mic on,
Yeah,
please?
we're not going to get paid money to get an appraisal. I mean, the $10,000 you mentioned, where is that coming
That's the assessed value.
I'd say it's 16 acres.
This is just land, it
About
has
3
no
acres.
frontage, so.
There's no access to it.
It's a flag lot. You gotta have access to a roadway. You have to.
Yeah, it's
Pennsylvania
state law.
states
All
that.
right, so please, okay. All right, well, we need consensus here, so. I say no. but
Give them 45.
Okay. It's not-
So did we come up, at the last meeting, did we come up with?
No, we did not. My directive was to check
Yeah.
with supervisors to see what they were doing and it's
Directly else.
somebody else.
Yeah. Unless you go to Penn or Southampton or somebody.
Could y'all speak up, honest to goodness, you're just,
Having a meeting between
yeah,
yourselves.
I mean, you're not, you can't hear what you're saying.
It's a public meeting.
I asked her if she could check with someone else.
Fine.
She checked with Central Bucks. They haven't had any, so before we make a decision on an amount, maybe we can check a few other school districts, see if there's somebody.
Can you tell us where the bidding takes place?
This is a tax lien sale, so it would be advertised by the county. This is a tax sale by the county of Bucks.
Where's it located? I mean,
Okay.
So do we still have to vote on
Because I'll be
the
there.
that we're rejecting it and you'll send the
Well,
letter?
at this point, because this is not a voting meeting,
But are the
and we
committees
have nothing,
recommending that we
right,
reject
and we have nothing in place for me to act on your behalf. This is one that may just go through at this point. And whatever falls, because again, we can't vote here tonight.
Okay, so, but if we vote and give you an amount, that's a binding thing which
You
you
have,
sign.
if you put that in your minutes.
Since this is our third one, maybe we need to find someone to investigate what we need to do to make it, you know, I mean, we don't want to stop somebody from maybe making an improvement. I mean, $100 for 2.3 acres is a pretty good deal.
So I think the last one was $1,500.
Right,
and we
so,
rejected
but that's not,
it.
but we're not the one bidding, so, I mean, I don't think we should stand in the way of people that are trying to make improvements in their neighborhood, or, well, we should come up with some kind of, we need to get some advice as to how to treat these things. Because I know this is the same type of lack of discussion we had the last time, because we have a couple of these now, and we don't really know who to ask. You know, what business is it of ours, other than to say, okay, we'll let you sell it for that bid? Like, you know, I mean, we have a say in it, I don't know why, I mean, I understand why we do, but, you know, if someone's trying to, in good faith, maybe it's a disaster area lot, somebody wants to clean it up, maybe the neighborhood's in. No one ever seems to show up from the neighborhoods to make cases. So we really don't know what the heck's going on unless we send somebody out there, and why would we do that? We wouldn't. So we're kind of like, we don't know what to do here.
What does your solicitor say?
I don't, we didn't ask him specifically on this one, so I don't know what he would say. I mean, if we're going to come up with a policy or a procedure, yes, we will definitely.
It'd be a good idea to check with them, you could just ask them.
Now, the other thing is here, I mean, we don't know whether Hilltown's going to accept this or not, right?
That's
I mean,
correct.
so they have to accept it too. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think we have much choice in this one since it's due back by the 23rd, actually. Well, 30 days, I guess, would be 25th, so,
When did they find out about it?
which would have to be during working hours, and we're not meeting until evening.
They've been through this before, and they still don't
And they
know what
didn't
to
do it.
But I think if we talk to Rob Cox and you know, talk about a procedure, we can get that started, maybe we can put that on, have some suggestions for the next meeting. But we have something in writing from the administration that they can suggest. Is that all right with everybody?
Yes.
It's okay with me?
All right, well, we'll see what those ones.
Can I just say one more thing about that?
Right.
Maybe when we get these things, I mean, and after talking to our solicitor, maybe we need to reach out to wherever the township it's in and just say, what are your thoughts on this piece of property? Are we helping you fix the problem? Are we preventing you from fixing an issue. Just, I mean, I don't know what else, that just seems like a common sense way to try to find out what's going on with these lots.
Like the town,
Yeah, I agree on that.
municipality.
If we have a relationship, you know,
Yeah, but I'm saying, can they reach out?
townships on
But someone has, it can't be the board that does that. Somebody has to do that. And then
So one
we
of
show
these
up here,
things, I
we
mean,
can
do they
say,
get a
spoken
2-week
to
notice or?
supervisors or their representative in whatever township and say, yeah, we'd love to sell that so they can chop the weeds down, or whatever. Okay, thanks.
2 acres.
All right. Is item 5 off the other agenda? That was the
It's
GASB.
probably Kathy Johnson. that's got
Item
some
5,
ability.
the GASB 67, 68 review, we're going to do at the next meeting in the interest of time. One thing I do want to bring up tonight is because there was an item for discussion at the activities meeting, at the committee of the whole meeting in July that we had about raising the price of the football admission ticket from $4 to $5. There were some questions about why we were doing that. We did get an answer from the administration. Basically, this is really only involves anybody who does not purchase their ticket in advance. This would be a student who would come the night of the game and want to purchase a ticket. We would charge them $5 in the interest of moving the line along, not having to give change. If they want to buy in advance, I believe they still would pay $4 in advance of the game.
Right, and it's not, it doesn't affect the tickets sold to community members, that's
Right.
already $5.
Right, right. So it only affects that very limited group who would be somebody who just didn't buy their ticket in advance, a student. So in lieu of that, I suggested we just put that on. I think there's enough support for that. From what I've heard, so I just thought we could put that on the August E25 meeting and vote on that and get that passed before the football season begins.
Right, and it doesn't change the family pass either, which is what I had asked about,
Right.
that it's still $20 for a family pass up to 5 tickets.
So why did,
Let it go.
so why did this come about again? It's the same as last year.
The incompetence, right?
No, it's not the same as last year. We're raising the price.
No, it's only, yeah, it's only for students.
I'm looking at these, right,
It's
so,
only for students who are purchasing tickets at the gate.
Right.
The students continue to purchase their tickets in school, they receive the $1, 20% discount, making it $4.
I don't know if Mr. Babb has the information or not, but do we know how many students, do most of them purchase at the gate, or most of them are purchasing in school? Because I believe the reason was basically for the sake of making change
yeah,
Right.
that's
at
what
the
it said.
ticket booth.
Yeah.
Well, I think also then it would encourage them to
Them
put
to
a
buy in
ticket in
advance
school.
to speed up the line.
Right,
so
it'll
that-
speed up the line, because
Right.
there were some, when I went to the Pink Out last year, I mean, the line, there were people who waited in line for.
Till halftime.
Yeah, they
Till
did,
halftime.
and I think, you know, part of that has to be then that it has to be advertised more within the school to buy tickets, because honestly, I don't know that it is made obvious to the students there that, you know, you can get your ticket in the school prior to the game. A lot of them don't, they just figured, you know, they would get it at the game. So in an effort to save that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The effort obviously is to
Right.
cut down the line and get people into the school, but you have to let them know that there's obviously an advantage to getting your ticket in school before the game.
Right,
So,
and then there'll be fewer people in line.
yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, I don't know if it's ever been discussed about having a separate student entrance. I mean, if there's a lot of students who,
Part of the problem too last year was that there were sellers for the tickets removed on the one gate. I know from the one gate, there used to be a table that people that had passes or they wanted to buy a pass, that was removed, so that everybody had to walk past that ticket booth. So that did slow things
Yeah.
down.
Okay.
It definitely did.
okay, well, maybe we can ask Mr. Babb as a follow-up question.
All right, that completes the finance part of the
Jill, I
agenda.
have one question.
Sure.
Real quick, back to questions on B and E for the drumline instructor and the percussion instructor.
Yes.
The one is dated for August 11th, which is today, because all of the activities started today. The other one was dated for July, I believe, 21st. So are these two contracts where these two people have already started working and they haven't been approved?
Well, we've been through this before, and yes, they will, but they themselves got to realize they're not going to get paid until it's approved by the board, so it's not a contract until we approve it, so.
Just note, you know, that those dates are on there.
Right, both of them have signed volunteer waivers at this point, so right now they're serving as volunteers.
Is that what they've done in the past,
I don't know if
If
that's
it
what they've done in the
happened to
past,
be-
but that's what we had them do this
as
year.
far as dates? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, do we have any questions, I guess? Oh, lots of questions. Okay. Ms. Herring, you want to come first?
Sure. I just had a question actually about the football ticket price. Diane Herring, Hilltown Township. Along with what Mrs. Schmidt said regarding the football tickets, I don't know of anywhere that it was ever advertised in the high school to purchase tickets in advance. That has never been something that was stated. Also, I don't know how you plan on accounting for offering those middle school students to come to the game, unless you're now going to also allow them to purchase in their buildings in advance, or you're penalizing them, okay? And I would hope that at some point the district would communicate to the public how we go about purchasing those family pack tickets, because that is not something, if you go to the website, it says you can go to the district office, you can go to the high school office to pick them up. There's no, I couldn't find a place last year at all for that either.
I don't believe you have to purchase them in advance. My understanding last year, and I may be incorrect, was that that could be done at the gate. That was what a
No.
lot of, I mean, I know there was a lot of confusion I heard from families, because it was on the website, but there was no clarification what you,
Right, they do want the tickets purchased in advance through a check coming to the high school and then being sent out, not selling them at the gate, because that was causing other problems.
Along those lines, I would think that we need to really, if we're going to go this direction, really communicate it, because this is a significant change. And given obviously the interest in attending potentially a new field and the community wanting to see and come, and we want everyone to come, we need their attendance to come. We go out of our way to actually communicate all this and tell people what their options are, especially for those community members who don't have kids in the high school specifically. So if we're just sending out blasts to, say, the Alert Now message group, that's just high school students, you're missing 2/3 of the community at that point. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sue Furlong, West Rock Hill Township. I had one question here. Item number 2, where you are requesting to either renew or establish student accounts for 2014-15. You have the high school class of 2017. I assume that's an establishment. But to renew, what about the other years? The class of 2016-15.
It can be renewed last finance committee, or they can renew in September too. They
But why wouldn't you just do it all at one time?
it depends who provides this to us.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Because-
the clubs, let me just, and I'll answer that immediately for Mrs. Furlong. The clubs themselves must submit the forms, we do not do it for them. So until they have their officers, they determine who's going to be the president, vice president, secretary, whatever. That's why they then submit the forms to us to establish or renew. So
Are
it's
they
not-
aware
it's
that
not-
they need to do
Yes,
this?
they are.
My other question is, you're talking about selling tickets in advance at the high school, perhaps at the middle schools. How are you going to reconcile the tickets to the cash collected for football activity? Well, probably any gate, any sport. Are you set up for accounting for the ticket sales so that we can determine what the attendance is based on ticket sales and if the correct amount is being attributed to the ticket sales? Since you're splitting it between the gate and previous sales and family sales and all that.
Yes, we have procedures for that, yes.
So if I needed to know what the attendance was, what the take is, and how many tickets were sold, I would be able to accumulate all of that, including what was pre-sold.
Yeah. Kathy was saying, we don't have a turnstile, so we can't count people coming through. We didn't.
Well, if I did buy a ticket at the high school, is it for a particular game or is it just for the season?
I'm sorry, what?
If I go to the office and I say, I want to buy a ticket to the football game, here's my $4. Now, is that for this coming Saturday's game if it's a Tuesday, or is it for any game in the future? Is it dated? How do I know how many people came to the game this coming Saturday? Or at least bought a ticket? Let's say at least bought a ticket.
All right. We will have Mr. Babb here to answer his questions.
No, this isn't accounting. This is a reconciliation of the cash.
No, we reconcile cash. We reconcile cash to tickets sold. We have an accounting system for that. We do not have an accounting system to count how many students or adults enter into a particular gate. There is no accounting for attendance. We have a reconciliation process in place to count for tickets sold. Tickets are pre-numbered.
And so that's sold prior to the game
And at the game.
and at the game.
Yes.
And when I buy a ticket on Tuesday,
I
it's,
can't answer
excuse
that.
me.
I can't answer that question, Mrs.
Yeah,
Ford.
we-
So if I buy a football ticket on Tuesday, it's not necessarily for the next upcoming game?
I can't answer that question, Mrs. Ford. I don't. We have to have Mr. Babb. Mr. Babb is selling those tickets, but we reconcile the ticket numbers to cash.
Can you ask Mr. Babb? I mean, I would think you would need to know as well.
Yes, we will ask him.
And get back to the public on that? I mean, I don't see
We
what,
will,
Mr. Babb's not here. I don't know when he's going to be here.
right, so before we vote on it, we will get an answer to that question.
All right, thank you very much.
Lindsay, did you have a question? Did you have a question?
I do. Bill Kraus, East Rock Hill Township, I think you can all hear me.
Yeah, but it's,
Yeah, all right.
you're not special, sorry.
Jeez.
They don't have to, but you do.
All right. One follow-on to Mrs. Furlong's question. In this accounting, you need to know how many were pre-sale at $4 versus how many are sold at the gate at $5. And secondary to that is,
How do you count?
right, because you're going to have the same ticket and two different prices for the same ticket. One at the gate, one before the gate, right? The other thing is, what are you doing about visiting schools? Are they paying the full gate price, or do they have an opportunity to buy at a discounted rate also?
When you want two different colored
I think they have to pay
I'm
when
just,
they come.
I'm just something for you to consider.
We don't get that opportunity when you visit other schools. I can speak from experience.
Okay, and do you know for sure that they have discounted programs?
I don't know that, but when I go to a football game at another school district,
Mhm.
I pay at the ticket booth.
So do I. I've been there
So
more than once.
they don't offer a student discount to the other school district students.
You're sure of that?
They never have, and I've walked in with my younger son as a student.
At the gate,
At the gate,
right.
yes.
Okay, but you don't know what, if
No, I'm
there's,
speaking
if there's
to
some
being at the
internal,
gate.
right,
Yes.
okay. Just something to consider.
All right, thank you. Okay, if that's it, then we'll move on to facilities. Barry, it's up to you.
Thanks, Bill. Tonight, there's 3 items. First, item 1, has to do with obsolete items in the technology department, the transportation department. A couple different schools, most of the, well, everything's posted on the website, it's mostly made up of obsolete items we can't use for hardware, books. The one oddball item on here is the, I think it's the truck, I'm not, or that's a bus, is that what that one is? That old bus?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to go through every list, or if you've looked at them already, but this is our standard collection of things that we're putting up at, either to recycle or for public service. So if we want to run through them one at a time, that's fine with me. What do you guys want to do? Anybody?
Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't see anything in there myself that was unusual. One thing Kathy brought up, Mr. Linden brought up a couple weeks ago, I guess we found some things from the past over there. They weren't new additions. They were things that were uncovered in the demolition process. So once again, item 1, I guess these items will appear on the August 25th agenda. And if there's any questions prior to then, just let us know. You want to wait until the end, or can you do it now?
Well, it might be an easy answer this now. Would you refresh me on recycle? Are you giving those things away at recycle, or are you getting paid for them?
Some of those is both. It's both. When we talk about recycling technology pieces, those sorts of things, we use, we either put them on public surplus if there's something that doesn't need to have a hard drive or something like that cleaned and sanitized and get all data off. Otherwise, we use a recycler who provides us with the appropriate paperwork. They are cleaning and disposing of our equipment appropriately, and we get money back for that actual recycling. Other recycling, such as, what we say, the TV player, VCR cart, and it says recycle. Care and Share will take televisions and VCRs of a certain vintage, and after that vintage, it goes to the recycler, the scrap yard, if you will, because there's no value. So some things we get value where we can, and where there's no value, we try to give it to a community. That has been the board's process here. So, a little bit of everything.
Could you, in the future, identify recycling items that you're giving away that there's no return to the school district versus recycling that there is a return to the school district? Because if I'm going to do a right to know, I might want to differentiate which items. So if I wanted to do a right to know to find out how much you're getting, I'd like to know which items. I don't want to do a right to know for everything.
Is that possible?
I can guess Mrs. Schuler if she's able to do that.
Yeah, if they can do it, it's already showing on a document as a recycling, as something that's going to recycle.
When I recycle my stuff,
It's adding another step.
I don't get any money for it when I recycle. That's why I was,
Well, I guess they're gonna have to decide if they have, one more step.
Can't you just call it something
We'll
different?
find out.
This is recycle, so it's
So
obsolete.
we'll look into that. It's not that often. Well, it's actually fairly often.
I mean, that's usually laptops, right? Computers, laptops?
This one's a television, there's books.
Yeah, because I don't care
You never
about
know.
those.
Obviously she'll try, I guess, that's what she's
Okay.
agreed to do. Fair question. Second item is Mr. Loeffler's, I believe. He's going to tell us about our rebate from PPL.
Thank you, Mr. Casper. PPL is running a rebate right now for all PPL schools, all occupancy sensors. So we remodeled a lot of the PPL schools. There's 4 that we haven't had. They're offering to come in, assess those schools, see how many we needed. There's no limit on quantity. So if one particular school needed 40, there would be 40. There's no limit at all. They would, free of charge, and install them. So I'm just letting you know we're going to try to move forward, get that information, and possibly install before school starts, if there's no objection to that.
They're just giving it to us?
Just give it to us, free of charge, unlimited, also,
No band stuff.
and installation by them.
Unlimited what?
It's a wall occupancy sensor. If you walk into a lot of classrooms, there's a sensor in the classroom. When you walk in, it senses you the lights come on. These are like the switches. So you get more in maintenance rooms, closets, storage rooms, things like that. So areas that, so when you walk into that room, the same thing will happen. The reason they can't put them in classrooms is because they're so low, if there were people over here, it wouldn't work. But for storage rooms, boiler rooms, things like that. So it's unlimited. Whatever they can find in the schools is what they will offer us.
The school district doesn't pay that.
Anybody have any issue with that? Since we don't have to, what they're doing it for us? Save some money. That was your rebate, that's what we,
That's a rebate. We're also working on another one for the West Rock Hill Elementary School, the lighting project we're doing with the LED lights, the T8 lights, and the occupancy sensor. So PP&L also offers a rebate for those type of projects, and that's a very large rebate. And we've done it over the past years with Soward Elementary and Grass, I believe, where we saw something like 3,000 and 4,000 from the two schools. This being a larger project at West Rock Hill, we're assuming we're going to have a larger rebate from them. So that's down the road after the project's completed and all the applications are in.
everybody okay with that? Any questions? Okay, thanks, Mr. Loeffler.
Thank you.
All right, the last thing on here is the Hellman Field drawings and Phase 2 design review. Sorry about that. So I think where we're at with this right now is we need to get, we want to keep moving on the E&S portion of this. Because that can take up to 6 months. That's what we talked about at our last meeting. So tonight, what we're trying to do is get on the August 25th agenda a motion to get the drawings and the study completed and subsequently bid that out, and then when it comes back, hopefully, let's say we did it in August, I think there's a timetable there. Did anybody look at that? We're shooting for like January, maybe get the bids back. Give me a second, sorry about that. And then we're going to know, based on the drawings and specs, what each individual segment is going to cost us. But primarily tonight, we need to get the E&S part moving, because that could take a while. So, does anybody have any questions? We're not really going to have an in-depth discussion, or any, actually, of what's going to be up there. Because we won't know what's going to be up there until we see what the cost is going to be. And I think Mrs. Johnson is going to give us a minute or two of where we're at with finances, not just for this particular project, but all the capital projects. So let's stick with this for 1 second. Does anybody have any questions about the process that we're going through? Mr. Thompson?
In the last meeting, we discussed whether or not we were going to prepare the whole E&S, the whole plate of possible options. And then, based on fundraising plus budgetary concerns, when we get the bids in, that we would know exactly what we're spending, we would make decisions then. There was some discussion about that some of the E&S, the spending that would happen, would not necessarily be spent if in fact we were able to eliminate some of this before that. There really hasn't been much in the way of information about how much money we could be talking about there that we could save on the E&S stuff. If some of this stuff just, we haven't even had our first meeting on fundraising yet. That's tomorrow. Is that tomorrow or Thursday? Wednesday. We really haven't had a chance to investigate any of this, and it's putting us into a situation. I don't see where we have much choice but to go ahead with the full E&S. When is the drop dead date on? If we wanted to change that. If we vote at the 25th to go through with this ENS, to put in the full ENS for everything there, is that a done deal at that point, or could that be rethought some other short time down the road? Is there any way we can answer that question?
Well, Mike is here, and if you're ready, I mean, just before you start, I thought the big kicker, I mean, some things are, ticket booths, bathrooms, concession. The big thing that would change the price, I thought, would be if we add the parking lot. That would be, I could be wrong about that. But Mr. Thompson, I can't remember what I think I remember something. Could you
Weight room, home visitor, team room, storage room, officials' locker rooms, each one of those has a component, estimated price. Can you help us at all with that?
The information I could offer you to help you with the decision that you're going to make with this, deleting components from the building isn't going to save us a lot of money. We're basically getting rid of roof area at that point. We would still have to pay the areas where the components would have been. So we're still dealing with that
Impervious surface of that.
Correct. If the board does not want to pursue, and we know we don't want to pursue, a parking lot or access drives, those are the big ones. If that parking lot is something that the district thinks is, if we're going to do the improvements and that's what we want to do that parking lot, that would be one I think you would consider. If you're not going to do it, a decision to not do that should happen within the next, we're going to do the survey first. We're going to do the survey so they can start to do the calculations for the stormwater. That's the way that works. If we can get a timely decision and you guys say, listen, we're not doing that.
What would that be, like September board meeting?
I would say, to be fair, I think September board meeting, we would have the survey done, but I don't think we would be well into the design at that point. So if we all understand and agree that we're going to do the survey, and if we are going to take something out like the parking lot, I would say by the September board meeting is probably the last opportunity we'll have to change site work. The building, whether it's roof or surface, it's really not the issue, but access drive around the back end by the tennis court and the parking lot. Most of that drive is already there at the tennis court, so I think that one's minimal also, and it's on that side of the hill. So really, it's the parking lot. If you decide that we're not going to do the bus loop parking lot out front, that's one that we would have to have an answer by. What we're asking for is on the 25th, we need an approval to move forward with the land development. If you come back in September and say, listen, we've had our meeting, fundraising, whatever goes on in the interim, and say we're not doing the parking lot, I can just not have that part of the design at that point. So yes, to answer your question, I would say by the September board meeting, we need a yes or no on the parking lot at that point.
Question, is that parking lot, if it is there or not there, is that going to materially affect the traffic flow in and out of the site here?
I think it will affect because that has always been put in as a place where the visitor buses would come in to drop teams off. If we keep it into our lower lot, we're going to be mixing people who are coming to attend with the loading and offloading of their band and their team and that kind of thing. So we have adequate parking to serve our stadium without doing this lot. There's a safety factor here if you want to consider that. This has always been a component of the plan that's been carried since 2008, I think. So again, what we did with this plan was we put in everything that we talked about since 2008, and now it's when to make the decision. I think that parking lot, I agree with you, that's probably the only one that would make a significant impact on our stormwater calculations and the design that would support that.
Isn't there a way that you could just unload those buses at a drop-off point and then park them somewhere else that is not going to interfere with our local stadium parking?
I think there's options. I mean, you could cone off the areas, and once the teams are in, they could park the buses maybe at our transportation department. We have a whole nother lot there that if they park the buses actually in our bus parking lot, they'll be out of public and in circulation of people and that kind of thing. But And then, towards the end of the game, the buses come back.
So was that planned that the buses actually park there or just drop off?
Drop off. We
So
want
where
them to-
were they gonna park?
Well, there's additional parking there also, but I'm saying that would have been.
But that wasn't for the buses, that's,
The parking is for, to get the handicap lots up another level, closer to the gate. But we can accommodate either, whichever the decision is, we can accommodate that, we have room for that. This was more, but no, we're not gonna park the buses there unless it's not an issue. I don't think you want buses sitting there while you have
No,
people.
I-
coming in and out.
because and the handicap, I mean, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 handicap.
Right.
I mean, do we need that for any requirement, or will we have enough handicap
The
parking?
handicap that we have is down in, actually this lot right here where you're parking now. So those people are gonna have to use the ramp that we already have. And it's accessible to get up to the main entrance. So no, we don't need that lot. We have we can accommodate all the spectators, we have no parking in here. We have curb parking, we have painted spots, we have north, the middle parking lot, admin, the 3 tiers on the other end. If we needed overflow, we have the entire transportation lot on the other side. And we have, parking isn't gonna be the issue for this stadium. This is a decision, again, this was talked about, so it was added. If it's not gonna be part of, then we'll just not include it in the design. That's a decision that you guys will have to make.
So there'll be time to consider this in our discussion.
I would say in the interest of time, though, the sooner the better. If it's at the September board meeting, I think that's fair.
All right, so,
I have a couple of questions related to what you said.
Well, they do.
You said we would still have to pave the whole area, or I guess you were talking about the building. So if we say for the study that needs to be done, okay, go ahead and do the, I think the last meeting you said if we do the maximum amount and then we scale back, you know, whoever we have to get approval from is okay with that. But you can't really go from saying, oh, we're only gonna do the concession and bathrooms, oh, and now, you know, a few months later, say we wanna add the other things because now we haven't had the study done. But so if we have the maximum footprint for the building, and then in February, when, you know, the bids come back and we say, no, that's too much, we're not gonna do part of the building, do we still have to pave the whole footprint?
We might be able to reduce it a little bit, but when we take the components off, we're still gonna need access to the next room in line. Like, if you look on the very end, there's storage rooms. We would have a small piece of grass there instead of the building. So now we're gonna be bringing mowers inside of the stadiums. It's more of a maintenance thing. The design for the stormwater, whether it's roof versus parking, doesn't change. If we,
Not roof versus parking, roof versus
grass.
Floor.
But
floor, right?
what we're saving is square footage of the building. It's not really the components of the building are not really about the stormwater design. That's more about saving money on construction costs. So the stormwater doesn't change, and that's what I started my statement with. The components of the building are minimal. The big site issues with impervious surface with the stormwater would more be the walk paths and the parking lots. This is minimal. I mean, we could put grass in those areas. Like the weight room would probably be grass and not paving, if we decided not to do that.
In February,
Correct.
like when the bids came back, let's say we went down and said, let's see what everything's actually gonna cost. When the bids came back, we say, no, that's too much. That would be, so we don't have to pave that, because you said we would be paving.
Correct.
Okay.
But the point I'm making is, with the weight room, we can get away with not having to pave that. But where the storage rooms would be, or the team rooms, those areas, I mean, we still would have access to the office, or the toilet rooms, the officials' room. I mean, we would have to have an alternate plan included. Like, if my alternate says to delete the construction of the weight room, that would be with associated walkways. You know what I mean? So we have to kind of pick
Right, you have walkways around the building.
Right.
I mean, even here, I mean, you don't show the walkways, but if we did the whole thing, there's gonna be walkways around it.
Correct.
But if you take a piece of it off, then then the walkway gets closer to the building that exists.
Right.
So you don't actually have to pave, I just wanted to be clear, because you said we would still be paving.
Well, if you look though, if you look in the back, we have the mechanical room right there in the middle of the building.
Mhm.
We still have that rear entrance to it.
Right,
Well, we would still have to put a walkway to that because the mechanical room we're probably gonna be moving tools and equipment in and out. So
Okay.
there may be,
well, yeah, that makes sense, but you don't actually have to pave the whole,
correct.
okay, all right. And then, you're saying September is the last chance to vote on a change to the site work. If we say we don't want to do the parking lot, but it's not clear why that is. Is that just to save money on the stormwater drainage study and to save money on the actual design of
It
the
would be both.
project? Okay, and so how much money are we talking about?
Well, we had a budget number in there for the parking lot, but we would save, we're not gonna design for the stormwater for the parking lot if we're not gonna do it, so it's both.
Okay, so I'm just wondering how, roughly how much money is that?
The full charge is 72,000 for the entire survey.
For the whole
We
survey?
think, but that's what they gave us an estimate for that, and the letter terraforms the company. Everybody's
So it would be a fraction of 72,000. What, okay. And then the design and construction administration, that's the 6% of the whole project? So actually, but that's only determined once we actually accept the bid, so it wouldn't really change the design amount that we pay.
As with all of our projects, once we have alternates selected and the board approves the list, the fee is adjusted to the new total. So if it's significantly less, so is the fee. If it's everything, it's
Okay,
based on.
so that wouldn't matter if that was in September or February, so it would just be in the
We
study
won't know what our fee is until
until the
bids
end.
come back and you guys say, we're doing everything or nothing, then it's adjusted accordingly.
Okay.
Okay, so where we're leaving this is, we might have to have another meeting, and the parking lot might be the topic. So by end of September, we vote out, and that's where we're leaving. So we still want this to get on the agenda to move forward with, so we can order it up. And then their fee for the survey may be affected if we pull the parking lot. So that's where we're leaving this.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Dave Babb or whoever else in the administration, what this would do to them if they did or did not have the parking lot. What's the advantage to us to build this thing, and what are we losing? Value versus cost is what I'm looking for.
I
I think
think
that's a
parking lot
good-
is something we can talk about at the ad hoc meeting also, right?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, we're getting to the point where,
To see what everyone's feelings are about.
the ideas need to get, come out, like what's the effect of taking that out? I mean,
They're all confused,
so
like we are.
we're at that point. So we may have to have a meeting and just kick things around and just say, how do we feel about this?
No, Diane did.
Okay, so then,
So on August 25th, we're voting for to have moved the survey forward,
and to start the design
and to
process.
start the design. And
This
we'll
will be the
continue the discussion.
Right, and the base bid is everything, which enables us to find out, even though it's a base bid, it's still fragmented into different, like ticket booths, 1 ticket booth, 2, 3.
Well, we said it would start being designed as with DDOT.
DDOT.
Right.
Small details.
So we'll kind of, that gives
We're
us
gonna
plenty
get
of time,
everything, so why
because
is
you
there
want
no
to,
discussion?
we don't want to be rushed into this time, So I like this approach, and just to remind everybody, before we go back to Kathy with where our dollars are at, I mean, when we got the variance or the permit, I don't want to go too off into the woods here, but, we have to do certain things, because we agreed to do that. So these guys are going to work on, they're doing things, for example, like traveling, I think it requires the zoning's 84 toilets, but no one else does that around here, so I believe East Rockville came back to us and said, find the average, find someone, and, we'll probably end up with less than 84, so that's going to save us money. So that'll all come later as this comes together.
It's stupid because
So